In the 1970s, Japanese timber executives began flying small aircraft low over the eastern United States. They were not sightseeing. They were aggressively searching the roadside ditches, the railroad embankments, and the overlooked edges of the American countryside. They were looking for a tree that Americans had spent a century treating as a weed. When they found it, they paid up to $20,000 for a single log. It grows 20 feet in its first year. It reaches full harvest size in under a decade. It is 1/3 the weight of oak, and it will not catch fire until it hits 788 degrees Fahrenheit. Nearly twice the ignition point of any hardwood in your local lumber yard, and it costs more per board foot than black walnut mahogany or oak. America has been treating it as a weed. Welcome to Botanical Vault. The archive opens in China during the Han Dynasty, approximately 200 years before the birth of Christ. An imperial decree orders the planting of a particular tree around government buildings and the estates of the noble class. The tree is called paulownia. Its flower is chosen as the crest of imperial administration itself. When a daughter is born to a wealthy family, 3 paulownia trees are planted in her honor. When she reaches marriage age, the trees are felled and carved into her dowry chest. The finest furniture in all of China is made this way, built to preserve silk and parchment for centuries. By the time the Tang Dynasty rose to power in 618, AD, paulownia had been cultivated for nearly 1,000 years. It remained sacred during the Heian period in Japan, from 794 to 1192, when purple was the imperial color and paulownia was the wood of the palace itself. The Japanese name for it is kiri. The paulownia flower crest, called the kiri-mon, was the personal seal of the emperor before the chrysanthemum was adopted. Feudal warlords fought wars for the right to display it. Toyotomi Hideyoshi, who unified Japan in the 1580s, carried it as his own family emblem, granted directly by the emperor. Today it appears on the official seal of the Japanese Prime Minister, on Japanese passports and visas, and on the 500 yen coin in circulation right now. A tree with the highest strength to weight ratio of any wood on earth became the symbol of sovereign power in the most wood-conscious civilization in human history. But there is more to this tree than its royal lineage. In its very first year, a young paulownia can grow 20 feet tall, not inches feet. By year 5 to 10, it reaches full harvest size. An oak requires 40 years. A walnut requires 60 years. Paulownia resets that equation entirely. You plant it today. Your grandchildren do not need to harvest it. You will. When the trunk is cut, the root system does not die. Within weeks, new shoots emerge from the same stump. The Japanese call it the phoenix tree, because it rarely dies. It regenerates indefinitely from the same root, requiring no replanting, no new purchase, no seed company. The wood it produces is something engineers struggle to believe. It is 1/3 the weight of oak, yet confirmed by Dr. R.C. Tang at Oregon University to carry the highest strength to weight ratio of any known wood species. It does not warp. It does not crack. It can be air-dried in 60 days, compared to years required for dense hardwoods, and it carries a property no American building material can match. The average hardwood ignites at roughly 430 degrees Fahrenheit. Paulownia does not catch fire until it reaches 788 degrees Fahrenheit. That gap was documented by researchers Lee and Oda in a 2007 peer-reviewed study published in the Journal of Wood Science. It is not folklore. It is materials science. The wood is naturally fire retardant. A 2024 review published in Frontiers in Environmental Science confirmed that paulownia sequesters up to twice the carbon dioxide of other tree species in the same period. 1 acre of mature paulownia plantation absorbs what 19 cars emit in a year. While the global timber industry clear-cuts old-growth forests and chips them into particle board, the one tree that could replace them in under a decade sits in American road cuts, being sprayed with herbicide. Now the conflict begins. When Japanese lumber buyers first encountered wild paulownia in the American East in the 1970s, they were stunned. China had cultivated paulownia for 3,000 years, but plantation-grown Chinese timber carried wide, loose growth rings. The wild American specimens growing slowly over decades in crowded forests had developed a tight, fine grain that the Japanese prized above all others. It was ideal for making the koto, the traditional 13-string instrument, and the tansu, the ceremonial dowry chest. They began purchasing with a ferocity that shocked domestic dealers. A 1993 Baltimore Sun investigation documented log poaching rings operating across Virginia, Maryland, and Tennessee. Sheriff's deputies were ambushed in the woods. Suspects were caught with chainsaws and covered in sawdust, and investigators matched cut stumps to seized logs to secure convictions. A single fine grain log was fetching $3,000 for a tree Americans had been calling a weed. The University of Kentucky and University of Tennessee Extension Services took notice. In 1991, they helped form the American Paulownia Association, a coalition of growers, lumber dealers, and researchers. The potential was undeniable. A domestic hardwood that required no decades of waiting, grew on marginal land, rebuilt depleted soil, and commanded prices double that of walnut. Plantations began forming across the Southeast. Early promotional material called paulownia, the tree of the future. That future lasted exactly 8 years. In February 1999, President Bill Clinton signed Executive Order 13,112, creating the National Invasive Species Council. The order was designed for genuinely destructive species. What it actually created was a mechanism. Environmental advocacy groups with close financial ties to the American Forest and Paper Association moved within months to target paulownia as a non-native invasive. The American Paulownia Association newsletter documented the process in plain language as recently as 2016. The organization wrote that the invasive label was achieved after direct pressure from interested environmentalists, several national and state parks, and the Department of Agriculture. 12 states banned it. The label was applied to one species, Paulownia tomentosa. But in the public mind, it contaminated the entire genus, including Paulownia elongata and Paulownia fortunei, which are not on any invasive list anywhere in the world. Not in China, not in the European Union, not in Latin America, where paulownia plantations operate commercially without restriction. Here is what the label was built to obscure. A 2015 study published in Plants People Planet followed 3 paulownia species in unmanaged southern Appalachian forests for 9 years. The combined survival rate was 27.3%. The trees died without human intervention. They require full sun and sterile disturbed soil to germinate. They do not colonize established forests. And then there is this. A paleontologist named Charles Smiley was excavating fossil beds in southern Washington and northern Oregon when he found ancient leaf fossils nearly identical to Paulownia tomentosa. The tree was growing on this continent millions of years before any European drew a map of it. Calling it non-native was at minimum disputed science. The science was never the point. The American Forest and Paper Association represents an industry built on 40-year rotation cycles, government-subsidized logging roads, and a captive domestic market that has no competitive alternative. A tree that reaches harvest size in 5 years, requires no chemical inputs, regenerates from its own stump, and sells at premium prices is not a problem for homeowners. It is a structural threat to that business model. The invasive label cost them nothing to obtain. It shut down plantation development, drove buyers to other species, and allowed the steady export of raw paulownia logs to Japan to continue uninterrupted, while domestic commercial cultivation stopped entirely. Today, the Wood Database, the definitive reference for American lumber professionals, carries a single commercial note on paulownia. Seldom offered for sale in the United States, though it is actually grown on plantations and exported to Japan, where demand for the wood is much higher. America grows it. America ships it across the Pacific. America then buys the finished products back at a significant markup. Former President Jimmy Carter understood exactly what was happening. A Georgia farmer and woodworker, he spent his later years actively promoting Paulownia elongata as a sustainable American crop. He grew it on his own property. He told anyone in Washington who would listen that planting paulownia was both a climate solution and an economic opportunity that American farmers were being systemically blocked from accessing. No one listened. Here's what this means for you today. Paulownia elongata and Fortunae, the non-invasive species, can be planted as a managed crop in most of the United States. You do not need 40 years. You need 5 to 10. A single root cutting available for a few dollars from specialty nurseries establishes a tree that reaches harvest size within your own lifetime. Plant it once. The stump sends up new growth after each harvest without replanting. That root lives indefinitely, giving you timber on a cycle no oak plantation can match. If you are building or renovating, paulownia siding, exterior cladding, interior paneling, and furniture grade, wood can be sourced from the American growers who survived the suppression campaign and ship direct. You will pay more per board foot than oak or cedar, precisely because domestic supply is artificially constrained. You are paying for the suppression every time you buy conventional lumber. This tree has not disappeared. It is growing in the ditch beside your road in the vacant lot 3 blocks away. In the margins of every rail corridor in the eastern United States. 150 years of accidental dispersal have seeded it across this country. The Japanese knew what they were looking at in the 1970s. They flew over in small planes. They paid $20,000 a log. They sent buyers who camped in rural Maryland and Tennessee just to secure access to timber that Americans were actively poisoning. 3,000 years of documented human knowledge pointed to this tree. The seal of the Japanese government still bears its flower. The dowry chests that preserved silk and parchment for centuries were carved from its wood. We called it a weed. If this vault opened something for you, subscribe to Botanical Vault and hit the bell. Every like and every share preserves what they tried to erase. The next vault opens soon.